Hello and welcome to the Olga Poltava crochet channel, where I share crochet tutorials and other crochet related content. Today's tutorial is for a very easy to make neck warmer, or perhaps you can call it a neck cowl, whatever name you prefer. The inspiration for this project came from a viewer of my channel who left me a comment sharing that she lives in Wisconsin and it's got quite cold there recently, and that she wants to crochet herself a sort of a neck warmer or collar. She didn't have an exact idea, but she wanted something other than a scarf to keep her neck warm. And that got me thinking that I could use a neck accessory like that too. Now I have so many scarves, way more than I can possibly use, so I decided to sacrifice one of them, unravel it, and use the yarn to make the neck warmer. This yarn is shepherd's wool, which is 100% worsted spun wool, and I think it will work really well for this project. So I'm unraveling it and using the yarn again. But you can use any worsted weight yarn of your choice. Wool or wool blend would be nice and will make a very warm item, but acrylic yarns should work as well. The construction of this neck warmer is super easy. All you need to do is crochet a rectangle about 9 inches wide and 18 inches long, plus or minus half an inch. It doesn't have to be super precise. Just choose a stitch that looks the same on both sides. That is, you'll need a 1-row repeat pattern. I created a playlist for 1-row repeat patterns, so you can choose something from there if you wish. I decided to go with the moss stitch. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this simple stitch. It is well loved by many crocheters. I hope you're enjoying the holiday season and staying warm, or maybe the opposite, staying cool, depending on where in the world you are. Please remember to give my video a like and leave me a comment. I really enjoy reading your comments, and sometimes they even give me inspiration for new projects. Thank you and happy crocheting! To make the actual rectangle, I started with 41 chains, but I will make a small sample to demonstrate this stitch, and I will start with 15 chains. You can start with any odd amount of chains, so the multiple is 2 plus 1. Here I have 18 chains, and now into the second chain from the hook I make a single crochet. We never count the chain on the hook, we always start counting from the next one, so 1, 2, and into this chain I make a single crochet. Then one chain, I skip the next chain, and into the next one again I make a single crochet. Now again, one chain, skip one chain, and into the next one a single crochet. One chain, skip one chain, and into the next one a single crochet, and so on all the way across to the last chain. So a single crochet, one chain, skip one chain, and then a single crochet. And over here at the end of the row I made a single crochet and I have one chain left, so into this last chain I also make a single crochet. So at the end of the row I have 2 single crochets next to each other. In the beginning of the row there was one single crochet, then one chain, but at the end of the row there are 2 single crochets next to each other. I turn my work and I start the next row with one chain, and into the very first single crochet right here I make a single crochet. Now I make one chain, I skip the next single crochet, and into the next chain one space I make a single crochet. Again, one chain, skip the next single crochet, and into the next chain one space I make a single crochet. One chain, skip the next single crochet, and into the next chain one space a single crochet. One chain, skip, and then a single crochet. One chain, skip, and then a single crochet. And I do it all the way across. Over here I made a single crochet into the chain one space, and I have one single crochet left, and into that single crochet I make a single crochet. So here at the end of the row, I have 2 single crochets next to each other. In the beginning of the row, there was 1 single crochet, then 1 chain. But at the end of the row, 2 single crochets. I turn, and my next row is going to be exactly the same as the previous one. I make 1 chain into the first single crochet, I make a single crochet. Then 1 chain, skip the next single crochet, and into the next chain 1 space, I make a single crochet. 1 chain, skip the next single crochet, and into the next chain 1 space, I make a single crochet. 1 chain, skip the next single crochet, and into the next chain 1 space, a single crochet, and so on until the end of the row. And at the end of the row, I will have 2 single crochets next to each other. So here I made one into the chain 1 space, and then I make the last one into the last single crochet. And that's all I'm gonna do here, just repeating that row. I start with 1 chain and 1 single crochet, then 1 chain, skip the next single crochet, and then single crochet into the next chain 1 space, and so on. I only have a few rows worked over here, and the texture of the stitch is not really visible, but once I make more rows, it will look much better. Here I worked more rows and the pattern is more visible and more defined. I crocheted a rectangle 18 inches long and 9 inches wide. I fastened off and I left a yarn tail about 20 inches long. I'm going to use that yarn tail for making the seam. And here's how I'm going to fold this piece. The opposite corners are gonna come together like this. And the measurement over here, where they lay next to each other, this end and this end, right here should be about 4 inches. Like that. And this is where I will make the seam using this yarn tail and a tapestry needle. And now using a tapestry needle and the whip stitch, I'm going to make a seam. With the tapestry needle, I'm grabbing only the outer loops on each edge of the fabric. And that's how I stitch the edges together. But depending on what crochet stitch you chose to make your fabric, you might want to use a different stitch to make the seam. You might even want to use single crochets or slip stitches to make the seam over here. It's really up to you. Here I made the seam. This is what it looks like on the other side. Now I'm going to make a few more stitches to secure the yarn tail, and then I can cut it off. The seam is done. Over here I have a short tail. I'm gonna weave it in. And now that the seam is made, all the yarn tails are weaved in, I'm going to fold it like this. And then like this. And I can put in a decorative pin through 2 fabrics over here. And here it is.